My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. Today is Monday, March 17, 2025. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and this is our Close Quarters, your morning news blitz in 15 minutes. And we get started with an auto pen scandal. You know that auto pen is this kind of a machine that can mimic a president's signature in case the president is off to, I don't know, on vacations, on holidays, or eating ice cream and something urgent has to be signed. Well, you know that it seems that Joe Biden used it a bit too much. And right now we have that President Trump declares Biden's last-minute pardons before leaving office are void due to the alleged use of auto pen. Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. Biden's pardons included his family members, Dr. Fauci, General Mark Milley, and the J6 committee. And you remember that I made an analysis of those strange signatures on Biden's, resignation to the presidential race back then. It was so odd, the way that those signatures were right there. And we have very nice animations in which you can see how the pardons, every single signature, you should have some kind of difference between them, but no, they're pretty much the same. Trump has gone nuclear with this. The pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the unselected committee of political thugs and many others are thereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he didn't know about them. So if you have doubts about this, let's listen to Speaker Mike Johnson talking about, Biden not knowing that he actually signed something.
Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, liquefied natural gas is in great demand by our allies. Why would you do that? Because you understand, we just talked about Ukraine. You understand you're fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine because they got to get their gas from him, And he looks at me stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order 3 weeks ago. And he goes, no, I didn't do that. And he's arguing with me. I said, Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that. And he goes, oh, you talk about natural gas. Yes, sir. He said, no, you misunderstand. He said, what I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG. I said, no, you're not, sir. You paused it. I know. I have the export terminals in my state. I talked to those people this morning. This is doing massive damage to our economy, national security. It occurred to me, Barry, he was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed. And I walked out of that meeting with fear and loathing because I thought, we're in serious trouble.
We're in serious trouble. I wonder who was using that auto pen and not so much the auto pen. Dr. Jill, you might have a word about that. And so many things in the United States can be crazy, but nothing is as crazy as an Obama-appointed judge just ordered deportation flights carrying Venezuelan gang members back to Venezuela to return to the U.S. So to understand, Trump deported this Tren de Aragua members to Venezuela, and an Obama-appointed judge said, hey, no way, you cannot deport these bad actors back to their country. They have to stay in the United States soil. An activist judge is siding with the criminal alien gangs who take over apartment buildings, murder, rob, assault, and rape Americans. These activist judges need to be impeached. The good thing is, I'm going to, this is a spoiler warning, is that Nayib Bukele, it happened while the plane was in flying over international waters, so it just landed in El Salvador, and Nayib Bukele has agreed to, give them the El Salvadorian treatment that they do to their local gangs. If you know how it is, it's a very nice treatment. They're gonna be really okay. What I don't understand is how a Fed judge orders deportation flights. It's like a judge has more power than President of the United States. How does that work? I can understand. I gave you my 2 cents about this. I can understand the separation of powers thing, but this is laughable. No country can function when people like this judge are acting against its people's best interests. Always remember that Democrats and socialists will prioritize any abroadian before you. This is important. And by the way, of course, there has been a huge backlash from Democrats on how can they just treat these people. I'm not going to show you this video. I'm going to show you the video in an expanded video later. But yeah, they're complaining about this. They're complaining that gang members are being deported. About how, this is my question. How can Democrats lose so much? And by lose, I don't mean not only, elections, but credibility, to the point that, and this is not a joke, this is my dream come true, AOC, seen as leader of the Democratic Party, with Kamala Harris close behind, according to a CNN poll. I mean, this is great news. This is amazing news. As in Trump's words, these are the best news. These are the best news. Could it be better than this? This is what I was expecting for. Thank you, Matt Swain, too, pointing out that AOC led with a mere 10% of the vote. Essentially, the party has no leader. The most important thing is that the party has to stand for something. More on that in a minute. But the problem is the new generation are communists, and the Clinton, Obama, Pelosi brain trust is aging out after blowing their political capital on Kamala and Biden. And blowing is an understatement. Centrist Dems are kind of screwed. Gavin Newsom is doing the right thing, but let's see. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, then Kamala Harris, then Bernie Sanders, then Hakeem Jeffries, then Barack Obama, what? Then Gavin Newsom, then Nancy Pelosi, then Elisa Stotkin, then Chuck Schumer, Tim Walz. My God, Tim Walz has a 1%, and well, this a bit a non-negligible 1%. But one of my favorites is Jasmine Crockett, that has such solid takes like this one. Representative Jasmine Crockett, we need the illegals to pick up crops and clean our hotel rooms since the educated want what?
How many of you are sending your kids to college to go and work on them? Okay, well, guess who is working the farms? So that you can afford your food.
That you can have food.
So that you can have food. Now, how many of you are looking to send your kids into hospitality after this college education so that they can go and make the beds at the hotels? How many of you are planning to send your kids to college? Because that's what we do here. We send everybody to college. How many of you are...
Why does she have that ghetto accent? We already know that ghetto accent is fake. Why does she keep doing that? It's like Sofia Vergara, saving the distance, is forcing her accent. But in this case, we love Sofia, but this lady maybe not so much. And the thing is, this is the fall of Democrats from where they raised at some point. Breaking. Americans' favorable view of the Democratic Party has fallen to 29%, the lowest ever recorded in CNN's polling dating back more than 30 years. Republican Party, favorable 36%, and unfavorable 48%. You have to remember that we are talking about CNN's audience, in which they have been exposed to CNN for many years, and you know that they might be a bit biased. And even so, the Democratic Party has a favorable rate of, or approval of only 29%. Now, this is beyond, let's say, historic and hysterical at the same time. It's like they are reaping what they sow, and it's not surprised that this has been happening for some time. Matt Gold has a good take about this. Trump is continuously putting the Democrats in a position to defend the indefensible, and I agree with Matt Gold in this. This is kind of a strategy to make the Democrats. You remember what Trump did in that address to Congress. You put a 13-year-old with that survived brain cancer, and not only one Democrat stood up for the boy. Yeah, Trump does that on purpose. Venezuelan gangbangers are being deported to El Salvadorian jails, ignoring the orders of a federal judge who said not to. Now, Democrats are forced to demand gangbangers to be shipped back to the U.S., making them look even more insane. It's brilliant. And yet there's people on the quote-unquote right saying Trump isn't doing enough and you're a subversive if you call them retarded, useless, and eternally unsatisfied contrarians, not serious people. Yeah, Trump in theory, could be doing more. You can always do more, but at the same time, it's important that, the other party are seen as pretty much unhinged and insane. As Charlie Kirk says, a lot of talk about a Democrat civil war is brewing, but consider their current debates. This is what Democrats stand for. Should men play in women's sports? Gavin Newsom already gave his opinion on this, and he was, bashed. Should we cut waste, fraud, and abuse? They are for waste, fraud, and abuse. Should be around 2 trillion annual deficits? Wow, that one is a huge one. That is a lot of zeros in there. Should we have a border or nah? Yeah, that is another thing that many people, even many people who voted for Kamala Harris, agree on this topic. Should firebombing Tesla stores be a crime? Absolutely yes. Why do you ask? Should we deport illegal rapists and murderers? No, let's embrace it. Maybe you can receive them in your home. Maybe if you are against deporting criminals, maybe you can receive them at your home. You can do the right thing and, lead by example. So far, they've managed to pick the losing end of nearly every 80-20 issue imaginable. In 2024, they sided with mentally ill men who wanted to humiliate women in sports, and they're following it up by siding with Hamas, propagandists, and people who firebomb car dealership. And speaking of Hamas, Marco Rubio has a few words for, not only Mahmoud Khalil, who has been apprehended for steering the streets of universities for trying to prop up Hamas. Marco Rubio has been really clear about this. Very simple. President Trump isn't Biden. If you are coming to the U.S. to join pro-terror riots, we will deny you a visa or revoke whatever green card you have. And if you do that after lying your way into our country, we'll cancel your visa and send you home. It's that simple. It's that simple. But you know that Democrats are siding with those who are stirring the pot. David Hogg says, I literally abducted a lawful permanent resident and recent college graduate who has an 8-month pregnant wife. Even when he was being arrested, ICE refused to tell his lawyer that he was being charged with and hung up on her. This is a blatant violation of the Constitution, the First Amendment, and we cannot let it stand. Okay, but cop all that you want. Cop all that you want. And this is something that I share. I'm all for free speech. But this is going to sound like the most hypocritical But if you're living in the USA or any other country and you are going to protest defending a bunch of terrorists that want to destroy the very country you're living in, that sounded insane to me. We're fighting for a good cause. Okay, right, but why don't you go there where the fight is happening and you join the cause? Why do you have to do that in a place thousands of miles away? In the end, you're no different than the cognitively impaired hordes of Just Stop Oil. And you're in a green card, you should get the with prejudice stamp on your passport and thrown on the next plane out. And maybe to El Salvador, I don't know. It depends. And speaking of the Middle East, Trump has decided to glass the Houthis. And Trump ordered a strike on the Houthis in Yemen. These Houthis no longer exist. Thanks, Eric Doherty, for that. And this seems that you need to understand a bit how this works, because the Houthis in Yemen control the Bab el-Mandeb Strait between the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden that you can see right here. And the Houthis announced, in fact, that the U.S. ships are banned from passing through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Red Sea from now on. And that is bad for business. And you know that Trump doesn't like anything that is bad for business. So maybe, the Houthis are going to be glassed. But the problem is, we got kind of international tits up right now, because Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov told U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to immediately end use of force on the Houthis during a telephone conversation. Why? Because the Houthis are backed by Iran. And Iran has helped Russia, with drones, with missiles, with weaponry for, fighting Ukraine. And I guess that Putin is compelled to feel that, oh, yeah, we owe Iran this stuff. And since Iran is backing the Houthis, then Putin is trying to intervene. And that has made things a bit more complicated. Not as complicated as trying to read this guy, this supreme leader. Who is this? Oh, no, the very loud spokesman of the Houthis announces they have launched an all-out attack against the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Harry D. Truman. What I did not understand is why this guy speaks and he looks like an AI or a video game character. That part I didn't know. This is very hard to read in terms of body language, but rest assured, I will make sure to read his body language later on. And what you have to be completely aware that all of these topics, I will elaborate on them. I'm going to extend them in all the videos of today. So make sure that you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my analysis and tips. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.